That's very important.
Yeah.
First, let me just say, when I heard you on Instagram, I was blown away by your voice. Amazing.
Thank you so much.
So,
I appreciate that.
so I have a few questions about that. Like, okay, so where are you from?
So I'm from, it's called Carterville, Tennessee. It's a small town outside of Memphis. So yeah, I grew up there. I lived there pretty much my whole life, and then went to school in Knoxville, and now I live in Nashville. So I've always lived in Tennessee.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, what were some of your musical influences growing up? Because, well, Memphis is a big, area known for music, especially blues and stuff like that. It has a lot of roots there. So, what were some
Right.
of your influences?
I would say you're spot on with the whole Memphis thing. That's kind of what pushed me into the soul and like R&B side. So I would say like Beale Street's kind of like Nashville's Broadway. You go down Broadway, you hear all the country music. I went down Beale Street, heard all that music. So I grew up kind of listening. I love Alicia Keys, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Etta James, just artists like that I can really appreciate, just like the soul and like the power behind it.
So now, growing up, what was that the music played in the house, or like Etta James and stuff like that, or how did you make the connection?
Um, Actually, it was kind of weird. I guess my family's not like the most musical. Literally, no one sings or plays instruments or anything. So I kind of grew up listening to a mix of things. My dad always had rock on. My mom always had either gospel or country on. I feel like we all kind of had our own little genre that we preferred, but it was also good because I grew up with like a mix of sounds. So it wasn't just like particularly favorable to just one genre.
Okay, okay. Just so you know, you were breaking up a little bit. I'm sorry. Can you repeat what you said?
Oh no, you're totally fine. I wonder if it's my Wi-Fi. I was just saying, my dad kind of he always had rock on in the house, and my mom did like the gospel, country, and so everyone kind of had their own little genre, but it helped because I wasn't stuck just listening to one. I kind of got a little taste of all of them, and I think from that I was like, oh wow, I really appreciate all genres, all music, just good music.
Were they surprised when you were leaning more towards the R&B side?
Surprisingly, no, because I have been singing ever since I could talk. So they were just kind of like, this is unusual because none of us sing. I'm not really sure where you got this from. And I've always kind of grown up doing like riffs and runs, which
Mhm.
it was also strange because they were like, no one taught you that. So it was kind of just like a surprise at first, but growing up, whenever I started making music, it was not a shock at all because that's just kind of how I've been singing my whole life.
Which was going to lead me to my next question. When did you know you could sing, and when did you decide to make it a career?
So I guess whenever I say I sang my whole life, it was more of a hobby. It was more of I'm gonna do choir, I'm gonna do my solos, I'll do like voice lessons, whatever. It wasn't until after college that I got super serious about it as a career. I went like I said, my parents not musical. I went the typical route. I went to college, got my degree in kinesiology. Actually, was going to go to grad school for sports reporting, and then my dad got sick, so I moved with him to Houston. And as a hobby, I I was like, well, I got kind of got to find something to do in my off time, take care of myself. I started taking voice lessons just for fun, and with a guy named Tom McKinney. And so after my first lesson, he was like, if you don't pursue this career, you're making a big mistake. So after doing some research on him, me and my mom being the creeps we are, we found out he is Beyonce's voice coach and Demi Lovato's voice coach. And I'm like, someone like this who has, I've looked up to these artists, he's kind of developed them, is telling me that I have potential and I should make a career out of this. I'm gonna believe him. I was just, it's always been a dream of mine, and I think that's kind of just like the motivation I needed to take that next step.
Now, you said you went to school for kinesiology.
Yeah.
What exactly is that? Because I was trying to pronounce it. I was like, what?
I know. It's basically like physical therapy, the study of movement. So it's very random. I know my past is like, wow, you're kinesiology, sports reporter, whatever. I was an athlete in college and I was always hurt somehow. And I ended up in the training room and I was like, wow, I could see myself doing this. So I just majored in it, and I thought for the longest time I wanted to do it. Just turns out I wanted to be on the sports side of it. You broke up there a little bit. Hold on. You broke up there a little bit. I can't really hear. Let me see. I wonder if it's on my end. Oh, I think I can hear you now.
Yeah. I'm in a couple of times, so let me see. Okay. Sometimes I have to do that. I have to turn on my phone to
Yeah.
make it all work. So I'm sorry. I was saying that kinesiology, you were breaking up. So I was wondering if you could repeat it one more time. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I was just saying I got into it because I was an athlete in college and I was always hurt somehow. And so I would end up in the training room for physical therapy. And I was like, wow, I could really see myself like enjoying this and doing this. And then it turns out that I just wanted to work with the sports side of things. I'm very much, that was the whole reason. And it took me 4 years to realize it.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Now, does it involve medicine or just the therapy part?
So what I studied would have like led into physical therapy school. So what I learned about was just like the human body, the chemistry, the biology, all the science behind how we move and why our limbs do certain things. And essentially just from there, after graduation, you would go on to PT school. And instead I was like, well, I think I would rather go do sports broadcasting and work with the athletes and this and that. So I got into grad school there, and that's kind of the route that I was anticipating on going.
Nice, nice. So you were going to use your voice one way or the other. That was just going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay. So if you had to collaborate with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
I would definitely say Justin Timberlake. And I know you're probably like, oh, it's just because you're from Memphis. That's part of it. He's from Memphis. He's from a small town outside. But another reason is everything that Justin does. Like, I feel like he can kind of pop into any genre he does and he kills it. And then he goes into movies and he absolutely kills it. And I just feel like his attitude, everything about him is just like very, very inspiring. And I look up to that. So I think he'd be a fun artist to work with, but also he would make me better too by working with him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So now, do you do shows? Well, not right now with COVID, but before the COVID, were you doing shows locally
Not super frequently. I did a couple in Houston because my voice coach was down there and was able to just kind of showcase. And I've done a couple here and there around Nashville, but what I've learned is that a lot of people don't want you to come in and sing unless you're either country or you know how to play a guitar and you can accompany yourself. So you best believe over quarantine I've learned how to play guitar. So that's one part of it, but I'm looking to play some more once this whole thing blows over.
Yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate because it stopped so many performances in bars and clubs and in concert halls. It's really paralyzed a lot of people. But Instagram and social media,
Right.
has allowed a lot of people to showcase their talent, which is how I found you. Um, and that's a wonderful thing. That's a really,
I
really
know.
wonderful thing.
I'm so thankful that social media is as big as it is right now during a time like this, just because without that outlet, I just feel like it would be a lot worse. Like I'm able to tune into live concerts. I can still virtually tip other artists and show my support and kind of just like be there for each other, because it is hard for creatives to just kind of have that whole world shut off. It is for anybody, but especially in Nashville, I see all my friends that are like mainly musicians, just their whole world is kind of paused for a second. So I'm thankful for it.
Yeah. I say it's a blessing and a curse. The curse is the obvious part, but the blessing part is you're able to hone in on your skills and develop yourself as an artist, which is a great thing. That's always an amazing thing.
Right. I agree.
So, what is your go-to song if you want to feel good about yourself, or if you want to feel good, if you're down, what is your go-to song?
Um, it's my go-to for everything. If I Ain't Got You by Alicia Keys. I, it's my go-to karaoke. It's a feel-good song. You're never gonna turn it on and someone's gonna be like, "Oh, turn it off." It's a great song. So it kind of makes me feel better, whether I'm already in a good mood or if I'm in a sad mood. Just kind of hum along, and it makes me feel better.
Now, do you also write?
I do. So at first, that kind of took me a little bit longer, just because melodies and there's so much that goes into writing a song that I did not anticipate. Because you can sing a cover song beautifully, but like the writing part behind it is another instrument in itself. So I started doing that. I guess a little bit after I met Tom. He really encouraged me, just start writing poems, start writing, whether it's in your diary. You don't have to organize it as a song. Just kind of get your thoughts down, like how you're feeling that day. So I try to write every day. Sometimes I write the most pointless stuff, and then sometimes I'm like, this could definitely be a song. So yeah, I started getting better at it, but still working on it.
Don't ever think something is pointless. I heard "Move" by Doja Cat, and I
Right.
said,
I love her. I love Doja Cat, by the way. She is,
I do too. But
yeah,
I was like, I've heard her name before, and I was like, well, what did it? What song was it that she came out with? Because it was like this big song, and it just blew up on the internet, and it was a song called "Moon." When I watched the video, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. But very talented, very beautiful girl. Kudos to her, but it's about
I
you.
know she's doing it right. She's definitely doing it right.
But now, M, how did you? Am I pronouncing it right?
It's actually ME. So my initials are ME from Mary Elizabeth. So yeah,
Hmm. So
yeah.
now, is that where you got it from? From your initials, I'm assuming. Yeah.
From my initials, and I grew up. My parents always called me so many nicknames, like, but Emmy was like the main one, like Emmy, come here, all this stuff. So I grew up just kind of going by it, by family, and I kind of thought that might be a good name. It took me forever to change it. At first, I was like, I don't want to change it, but then I figured after talking to Ty and Jackie, um, we kind of, I don't want people to assume what I sound like in my music by seeing the name Mary. A lot of people have assumed I do country or maybe gospel. I kind of would rather them hear the song and then envision what I sound like or look like. I don't want my name to be a straight giveaway. So we figured it's marketable, it's fun, it's a nickname, kept it close to home. So